Hello, fellow book lovers. Welcome to another video. I am here today to talk about my reading goals for 2025. This time of year, I really start thinking about goals in general across multiple areas of my life. And in 2024, I really brought back reading into my channel and just more so into my life. So I was thinking about what do I want to do for 2025? I did the 100 book thing in 2024. I'm filming this in 2024, so I haven't quite hit the 100 book mark yet, but I'm pretty confident I'm going to make it. And it has been such an amazing experience reading that many novels and being able to say that I've read 100 books this year. Like, that has been quite a feat, and I'm really proud of myself for the amount that I have read in 2024. But I was thinking, do I want to try to do that again in 2025? Or kind of what am I thinking regarding my reading? And I don't want to think too much of it. I don't want to give myself too many kind of hard lines, but I do have some books in particular that I want to read, series I want to start, series I want to finish, etc. And so I thought it would be fun to share with you kind of what I'm thinking my 2025 reading journey is going to look like. I've been sharing my books with you guys on this channel for at least the last year or so, at least one book video a month, sometimes more, and so I want to continue that in 2025. Let's first talk just general big goals. I am not setting my goal at 100 books. I'm not. I'm going to set it at 50. And I'm going to set it at 50 for a couple of reasons. 100 books, while that was amazing and I would like to do that again in my lifetime, I felt like I wasn't listening to podcasts, just wasn't doing other things because I felt like I always had to be like listening to an audiobook or sitting down and reading a book. So I felt always kind of drawn to my book, which is great. I want to choose reading over other hobbies. I think reading is a really great, healthy hobby. And so I want to do that, but I want to have a little bit of balance where I feel like I could listen to a podcast. Sometimes I was like, well, I want to listen to that or I want to do this, but I can't because if I don't finish this book today, then I'm going to be behind on my reading challenge. So I grappled with that quite a bit over the last year. So I'm not going to do that again for 2025. I want to give myself a little bit more flexibility, a little bit more balance. Also, I felt like there were books in 2024 that I avoided because of the length of them. Now, I read a lot of long books, big books in 2024. I read Throne of Glass, that whole series. I read Harry Potter, 4, 5, 6, and 7 over again. Those are all really large books. I read Fourth Wing, I read ACOTAR over again. So I have a fair share of large books read in 2024, but there were a lot of books that I was like, oh, I really want to read that, but man, that book's like 400 something pages. I'm going to set that one to the side. I'm going to read this 300-page one instead. I chose wisely in a way to make sure that I was completing my books, to make sure I was staying on track with my reading goals. And I want to be able to pick up any book that I want and read freely and not have to worry about how long it takes me or how big the book is, etc. I still want to read a lot. So I thought 50 books a year, that's still a book a week pretty much, right? There's 52 weeks in the year. So a book a week, I still feel like is quite a hefty goal. And so I feel really confident and comfortable with that. Obviously, if I read more, and that's great, but just wanted to be able to more freely kind of choose. So that's how I came to 50. Another kind of just miscellaneous reading goal I have, and then we will get into some specific books and kind of goals I have around certain books. I have my notepad here just you see me looking down, is I want to read at least 10 of the physical books that I own. So I have a bookshelf of books that I've gotten from like Book Outlet for real inexpensive or from library book sales and stuff. And I would imagine that most of them I'll read once and then be ready to pass it on. I can pass it on to a friend. I can donate it. I can put it in one of those free little libraries, whatever the case may be. Unless it's something that I read and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I want to reread that, then I'll keep it. But I would bet that 75% of those books are going to be kind of one and done books, right? So I want to read at least 10 of the physical books that I own to make a decision on them and kind of move them out. That way they're not just taking up unnecessary space. So those are kind of the two generic things that I want to accomplish in 2025. Let's get into some physical book categories because I do have some categories of things that I want to focus on. The first one is just a book that I've been wanting to read for a really long time, but it's going to take some time and effort and kind of focus, and that is House of Leaves. I really am going into this semi-blind. I know that it is written in multiple directions and there's mirrored images and it's like a story within a story. I really don't know that much about it other than it is a big book and it is a complex read. Actually, I have it on my bookshelf right now. I purchased it because I felt like it was one of those novels that I would want to read and annotate and really pay attention to. Get it to show you this book, and I don't know if it's going to focus because I have my camera set to a certain way because I didn't think I was going to be showing anything, but it's got, oh, I've got a bookmark in here. See, I tried reading this at some point. It's got, you know, footnotes, sections of footnotes. It's got like blank pages. It has pages that are written kind of crazy all over the place. So this is one that's been high on my to read list, but I just know it's going to take a lot of time. So if you have read this book, let me know what you think. Do you have any tips on how to tackle that? Best ways to read it? I would love to hear your thoughts. I think I'm definitely going to have to read or watch some kind of synopsis as I go to make sure that I'm fully understanding and like comprehending what I'm reading. But that is one book on my list that I definitely want to read. The next category is kind of like emotional reads. I love a book that really just hits you in your feels, you know, it makes you cry, it really makes you feel something. And there are a couple books on my list that I have been wanting to read for a long time that I have heard things about, heard recommendations of, and felt like these books would maybe hit the mark with being impactful reads. So I picked 3 of them that I would like to read this year. One is A Little Life by Hanayana Hara. That I believe is following like 4 friends throughout like maybe college and then throughout their adult life. I think they live in Brooklyn. I really don't know much about it, but all I've heard about that novel is that it will tear your soul in half, and I am here for it. So I definitely want to read that in 2025. Also, The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I absolutely love Kristen Hanna. I've read all of her novels, and that is the only one that I have not read. I've heard so many people say that that is their favorite one, and so I've kind of been waiting for it because that's the last one I need to read. So I've kind of been hoarding it and not reading it, but I definitely want to read it this coming year. And then the third one is A Gentleman in Moscow by Amor Towles, I think is how you say his name. He has a lot of great novels from what I hear, but the one I hear the most about is A Gentleman in Moscow. So I'm really excited to finally dive into that. I've only seen great things about it. And I just picked these 3 because, like I said, I really want just some impactful reads. And these are books I probably wouldn't have picked up in 2024 because They are all larger novels as well. And like I said, I kind of was strategically picking which books to read at least a little bit to hit my 100 book mark, but I want to be able to read these and enjoy them. So those are like my emotional, impactful reads. Then I want to finish a couple of series that I have started. There are 2 series that I have started that I have not yet finished that I want to. The first is the Housemaid series by Frida McFadden. She's got 3 novels and I think a novella in this series, and I have only read the first Housemaid. I absolutely loved The Housemaid. So I really need to get into The Housemaid's Secret, The Housemaid I Was Watching. And I think there's a novella coming out, like The Housemaid's Wedding or something like that. So want to continue on and finish that series. I try not to start too many series until the series is complete, because I get to this point where I like read one and then move on to something else and then have to come back to it. So I just need to finish that series. And then the other series is the Ruinous Love Trilogy. So that is The Butcher and Blackbird is the first book. Read that one, really enjoyed it. And then the second book is out. And I think the third book is maybe coming out very soon if it's not out already. I don't know for sure, but since it's a trilogy and it seems to be complete, I'm like, okay, I need to finish this series because I really did enjoy the first book in that series, about 2 serial killers falling in love. I thought it was such an interesting, unique idea for a book. So definitely want to complete that. For the most part, though, those are the only series that I have kind of left outstanding. Some of the series that I maybe started in 2024, if I didn't absolutely love the book, I decided not to continue the series. But those are the 2 that I really enjoyed the first novel. So I definitely want to dive into the second one. Then we have series that I just want to start. So I picked a couple of them that I have interest in and want to see how it goes. The first one is the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. I know I'm going to love this. I have no question about it. I'm going to read all 3 of these books. Loved ACOTAR, loved Throne of Glass, so now I can move on to Crescent City. So I'm really hopeful in 2025 to read the 3 Crescent City novels. Very looking forward to reading that and being caught up on Sarah J. Maas's worlds. I'm ready for a new Sarah J. Maas book, I will say. So I have that one, and then I have a couple of, 3 other series that I have interest in, and I'm going to read the first one and then go from there. If I like the first one, then I'll continue the series, and if I didn't like the first one, then I won't. So the Six of Crows series, I want to say this is a duology. This is a fantasy, maybe fantasy romance that I've seen a lot about. So that's on my list to try, as well as the Crowns of Nyaxia. I want to say that's maybe a 3 or 4 book series as well. So nothing too crazy. I think they're shorter books, but I've heard so many people say how much they love this, and that if you are an Sarah J. Maas fan, that you would really enjoy Crowns of Nyaxia. So I definitely want to give that series a try. And then the last one is Outlander. Now, I really don't know if Outlander is for me, if it really super appeals to me, but there's a reason it's so popular. There's a reason, there's a show about it. People love Outlander, and so I want to give this a try. It seems like a really long series. I want to say it was like 8 or 9 books, something like that when I looked it up on Goodreads. So I want to read the first one and go from there. If you've read Outlander, or if you have opinions about it, I would love to hear your thoughts. So those are the kind of series that I want to try in 2025. And then my last kind of goal, my last category of reading goals is Stephen King. I enjoy Stephen King quite a bit, but I have to really be in the right mindset for his books. He is an incredible writer, but he is not a writer that I could binge multiple books of. but I like to read something from him every year, something new that I haven't read before. So this year I'm picking two books that I would like to give a try, two of his most popular books that I have yet to read. The first is The Stand, which is like, from my understanding, it's almost kind of reminds you of the pandemic. It's an apocalyptic world, kind of, where disease took over and killed most of the population, and I'm sure the ones remaining are trying to figure out how to survive. But The Stand, I want to say, was his first novel. I could be making that up, but I would say is definitely one of his most popular. So I want to tackle The Stand this year. And then I want to read 11/22/63. That is the day that John F. Kennedy was assassinated. And I think this has to do with time traveling. Somebody time travels back to that time. I really don't know much about it other than that, other than it surrounds like JFK, I think, and his assassination. But that seems like a really interesting read. And I follow people like on TikTok and YouTube that say that 11/22/63 is one of their favorite books of all time and is definitely their favorite Stephen King book. So I am excited to read that. But that is it for Stephen King. And then my last category, I didn't want to give myself too many goals because, like I said, I really wanted this year to be flexible. But a couple things I want to hit, certain books I want to read, some emotionally triggering novels, series I want to finish, series I want to start, and then Stephen King. So I'm feeling really good with where my thoughts are around my books. I would love to know, do you guys make book goals? Do you have any idea of what you want to read through the coming year? Is there anything on my list that you have read that you would recommend or maybe not recommend? I would always love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But that's everything I have to share with you guys today. Thank you guys so much for hearing about my book goals for 2025, and I will see you very soon in my next one. Bye.